Hello, Internet peeps, and welcome to the time and space edition of B.T.I.L.P Little Podcast. I can't even do a Rod Sterling fucking intro to this. I should have wrote something down. But anyway, I am Joe Dubs.
And I'm Andy. Did
Eh,
you rehearse that? Are you smoking right now?
No, I'm not smoking.
No.
I was I was trying to do. I'm not a smoker, but I wish I had Rod Sterling's
I mean, he
intro.
speaks more monotone, but he also speaks like this. Everything is very important, and everything is punctuated with a silence.
Mm-hmm. Here on the Twilight Zone. Yeah, so this week's edition of Big Trouble in Little Podcast, we do 2 episodes of The Twilight Zone, doing When the Sky Was Opened and The Mask.
Actually, I think it's called And When the Sky Was Open. That's my bad.
Yeah, well, either way, if you type in on Google Sky Was Opened, Twilight Zone, you'll get a bunch of pictures of,
Yeah,
or
as long as you add Twilight Zone, the sky opening, that's a quote. I don't know. I was looking on IMDb, and something attributed it to the Bible, and something else attributed it to something else. So I don't know.
I wonder why. I mean, Sky Open, apparently heaven's up there. Anyway, Um, before we get into our movie or show of the week, Andy, what the hell have you been playing or watching?
Oh, not a lot. I foolishly, I foolhardily downloaded the downloadable content for Breath of the Wild, thinking, oh, I'll play around with this for a little while. And now I'm like re-obsessed with that game because the first DLC added that Hero's Path thing, so you can see where you've been, but you can also see where you haven't been. So now I'm trying to like go to all the places I haven't been, and of course, every time I do, there's something to do there. And that's on top of all the downloadable content. So I'm starting to wonder if I didn't make the wrong choice for my choice for game of the year, but I'll stand by it. But man, Breath of the Wild is a masterpiece. I
Mm-hmm.
also played the first episode of Sam and Max, like the redo from 2006 or whatever.
Yeah.
That game is fucking hilarious. I don't know what else to say about it. It's a point and click adventure and it's hilarious. I started watching an anime called Turn A Gundam that I bought on a whim that I've never seen before, but I just wanted to try a new Gundam because I like them.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched The Polka King. It's a new Netflix original movie with Jack Black.
Wait, Jack, when did this movie come out? The Polka King?
I don't know. I think it was recently. Like I hadn't heard of it, and I was just like on Netflix. I think I was getting on there to look at Twilight Zone, and it was like Polka King. I was like, oh, okay, Jack Black, and I really like Jack Black. Like he's an above average actor. He's not like brilliant, but I really like him. I think he's funny, and I think he's like I like how animated and crazy he is. So I was like, oh, I might watch that. So I decided to watch it yesterday. Yeah, it was pretty funny. It's really dry. The humor in it is really dry. So that's a good thing in my opinion, but
Yeah, it's on Netflix, I see.
yeah, they produced it.
Yep, came out last year. The thing about Jack Black is he is the same person sometimes, but he's upped his acting ability throughout the years. He has been getting better. I mean, he was pretty good in Goosebumps. So I don't know if you saw that movie.
I did not.
He was okay. I mean, he was Jack Black in the Goosebumps world, but he knows how to change up his style sometimes.
He does this entire movie. He's a Polish immigrant, and he does the entire movie with the accent, and it's pretty funny. Like it's kind of over the top. His accent is, and it's based on a real guy, and it's an interesting story.
Yeah, local Pennsylvania polka Jan Lewin develops a plan to get rich that shocks his fans and lands him in jail.
And it's funny because to hear that, you're like, oh, he scams a bunch of people, but he like accidentally does it in a way, like he breaks the law, but he didn't really mean to break the law, but he gets in way over his head, like right off the bat. It's a funny movie.
I guess like as an immigrant, you'd be like, is this against the law? I don't know.
Well, it's not like he had just turned up. Like he's lived in the United. It starts in 1990, and he has lived in the United States for a couple decades or something, like doing all time jobs. And now he's the head of a polka band.
Nice.
It's pretty funny though. I liked it. It didn't blow me away, but like I said, the humor is very dry in it. So if you like that kind of thing, then this will be up your alley.
Yeah, and then I see another thing about a Gundam.
Yeah, like I said, turn A Gundam. It's literally what it's called. Like the logo is just an upside down A,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess it's a Greek letter or something like that. Um, in 1999, they made this Gundam series, and it's never been dubbed. It's never really played on American television, and like everyone kept saying it was like a really good anime and it reviewed really well. And I guess it's good for like if you're older or more mature
Mm-hmm.
because of the story is like really complicated. And yeah, I'm loving it. I picked it up kind of randomly just because I like Gundam. I thought, well, I'll probably like Turn A Gundam, I guess. But it's bonkers. It like man, it takes place way in the future, but like there was a cataclysm, like man left Earth, but
Mm.
not all of the people left Earth, and like technology started over. So like the people who live on Earth, their technology has advanced to like the interwar years. It's like they have like biplanes and airships and stuff like that,
That's cool.
and like and automobiles were invented not long ago, and they have basic rifles. But then the mankind that left the earth have been living on the moon this whole time, and they have like spaceships and robots and lasers and stuff like that. And the people who live on the moon want to come back to earth and start living there again. And it's about, there's a conflict. Obviously the people who live on earth don't want to give up their land, but they're like technologically outclassed a
Mm-hmm.
hundredfold, except that they find buried in some mountains weapons from before the fall of civilization. They find like a Gundam and other mobile suits and stuff like that. It's really good.
I'm gonna check that out. Um, I saw an ad for an anime, the Godzilla anime, by the way.
Yeah, I heard that was good. A friend of mine watched it and he had good things to say about it.
Yeah, so I might be going into that. I need to start watching some stuff from my Crunchyroll that I just bought. I only
Oh,
watched
totally.
one episode of something and then I stopped watching. I need to get productive.
Hey,
I
if you want recommendations, I'll give you some, and I'll bet you we got a lot of people out there that'll give you some recommendations.
hmm Yeah, so if you know any anime episodes I should watch, please comment below in our YouTube. Me on
You
the
should
other hand,
watch. You should watch Iron Blooded Orphans. That's a Gundam on there. I think you'd like it.
yeah, I'm into mechs, so whatever mechs that are good.
Yeah, check out Iron Blooded Orphans. The first season is on there, dubbed or subbed.
Mhm.
It's fine dubbed. Some people will be like, "Oh, how dare he say such a thing? You should always watch subtitles." But no, it's fine. The people who dubbed it did a good job.
Nice.
Anyway, what did you do this week? I'm sure it was thrilling and exciting, and you're gonna love talking about it.
I did absolutely nothing.
That's impossible.
I
A
mean,
week has passed. Surely you've done something.
I
And don't
work.
just say work. Surely you ate or slept or you had to watch or read or play something.
I mean, besides the news that we're gonna talk about later, PUBG, I guess. I mean, tired of saying that every week because there's literally it's
Stop
a
playing it. A game is a hackneyed, twitchy, glitchy mess.
mhm. um what else? I mean, I guess when I was watching the episode of Twilight Zone, I watched an extra one. Uh,
Oh,
it's pretty much about an actor whose name is like uh Jerry Reagan or something like that. And in the beginning of the Twilight Zone with that episode, it's like, oh, I'm gonna call my wife and tell her that I'm coming for our daughter's birthday party, and then out of nowhere, it's like you hear a director say cut, and
yeah,
like
I remember this one. Yeah,
yeah, and it's like an in between. He he's playing this character that he believes that he's this character, and there's like so many turns on it. It's a really good episode. I never seen it before.
he said about pretty much every episode of the Twilight Zone.
Was that?
Because it's good. I mean, like every episode of the show is great.
Yeah, I mean, there are some episodes where it's just like, cool, I get it, but it's still good to watch anyway.
Totally.
What else? What else? I mean, I watched some football.
Oh
Uh,
well, I mean that's something that you did.
Jacksonville, that game was awesome to watch.
Hmm.
Uh, Minnesota Viking getting that last touchdown in the last second was fucking amazing. But I'm gonna be watching football this week, and yeah, that's it. That's all I've been doing. Nothing really exciting. I need to be. My goals is to make goals for every week, so so that I could play and what do you call it, watch things and read, so that I could have something to say in this section. Because the last couple of weeks I've been saying I've been doing nothing but besides playing PUBG, and that needs to change.
That's kind of what I did this week, partially. I talked about it when we started the show a little bit, but some friends and I do just like a competition of sorts where we try to beat more video games in a year than the others in the competition. So I made myself a hit list, like games I want to play this year. I just have the list on my desk, and as I play them, I get to cross them out and stuff like that. But yeah, that's I had to, because I knew that otherwise I'd sit around all the time, be like, "Oh, just gonna watch YouTube, go to bed." I needed to make sure that I had something to do when I got home. That's part of why I bought that Turn A Gundam Blu-ray too. Is now I want to watch that instead of, I have access to Hulu and Netflix and Amazon Prime and Crunchyroll and WWE Network and all this stuff, and it's still a little hard sometimes to dive into something. But if it's sitting here on my desk in front of me, I'll watch it, no problem.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think I'll do that. I'll probably write down my goals and what I'm going to do, so that things will be happening, and some projects that I need to get done that I've been procrastinating, and I hate procrastinating because then I feel like I did shit. And that's what usually happens. But Andy, I think we should get right into our TV show of the week.
Totally.
Twilight Zone. Andy, which one do you want to talk about first?
Well, originally I had them listed, The Masks and When the Sky Was Opened, but When the Sky Was Opened was episode 11 of the show, and The Masks is like episode 25 of season 5, so I didn't do it on purpose, but I chose one that's like at the beginning of the show and one that's toward the end, so I figure let's start at the beginning, let's talk about When the Sky Was Opened.
So let's get into that. I don't remember the characters' names besides Ed Harrington.
yeah, because one of the factoids on IMDb about this episode is how many times Ed and Harrington are said. It's like 32 and something crazy.
What I liked about this, do you want to talk what happened, by the way, like the synopsis?
We might as well. I mean, this episode came out in 1959, so I mean, spoilers, I guess. If you haven't seen it, that's kind of on you.
It's pretty much, this is during the Cold War, so this is during when the Russians and USA are like doing their Star Wars programs and all that stuff.
Well, it's the beginning of the space race. Like I said, it takes place in 1959, and it's about the first men to go into space aboard a experimental aircraft. And it's important to note that when this was written and filmed and when it was aired on television, man had not been to Earth yet. Yuri Gagarin went into space in 1961, and this aired on American television in 1959. So it's not like people had an idea of like, that's why it's like an aircraft that goes into space, not a rocket, and because they didn't really know.
Yeah, so in the beginning of the episode, you see like the aircraft under like a tarp and stuff. And I think the main character was like Colonel something. And
yeah, he was a colonel.
Yeah, and he was looking for his buddy, which I totally forgot his name too, in the ward and stuff, to see how he's feeling and all that stuff. And he's in there and he's in distraught. He's like, "Do you remember the flight? Do you remember how many people were on the flight?" And the other guy says, "Oh, there was 2 of us." And like, that's where it kind of turns a little bit, where it's like, no, it was 3. It was me, it was Ed Harrington, and then it was you. He's like fidgeting, he's like smoking a lot. You could tell that his hands are shaking and everything. And he says, "Hold on, let me get the newspaper." And he puts up the newspaper. He's like, read it. What does it say?" It says 2 men have were in the spacecraft when they came back, and he like loses his mind. So yeah, so that was the main thing is, where is Ed Harrington and who it was, and they kind of do like this flashback. Do you want to discuss the flashback part of Ed Harrington?
Yeah, I mean, most of the episode is told. He comes in, he does all that stuff. So yeah, there was three of us. This newspaper said three. There were three of us. He's been my friend for years. You've known him for 5. And then he says, "Okay, I'll tell you everything that happened." So most of the episode is him explaining what has happened to him.
Mm-hmm.
And the ship went into space. They lost track of time or something. They crashed, and 2 of them were, like concussed, but otherwise all right. And then the guy that's still in the hospital ward broke his leg. That's why he's still stuck there.
Yeah.
So the other 2 leave and go to a bar, and they laugh at him. Haha, you have to stay here, but get better soon and stuff like that. They go to a bar, and he just starts talking about how he feels weird. He doesn't belong here. Like he's out of place. It's a strange feeling. Like I couldn't figure out if he was like. It's not like he's in pain. I guess it's impossible to describe what it feels like when you feel like you don't exist in time because it's not a real thing. But
Mm-hmm.
and then he
Well,
turns around and his friend is gone and everyone forgot about him and the bartender doesn't remember him and the glass that he dropped on the floor is gone and the newspaper has changed and the television report has changed and his wife doesn't remember him and the guy tries to call his parents. That's right. And
mm-hmm.
they're like, "Oh, I don't have a son. What are you talking about?"
Yeah, it's like, bitch, if we don't know you, we never had a child or a son.
Yeah.
And the one part about Ed Harrington is that before he starts feeling weird, he looks in the mirror and he kind of gets like spooked a little bit. You know, like how vampires, when they look in the mirror, they're invisible in a way. I feel like that's what happened, even though in the last part of the scene, where the colonel looks in the mirror and you kind of see like his arm, but you never see his face. So
Uh-huh.
I don't know if he's seeing like a faceless face of himself, where then he starts to get that weird feeling like, hey, we're not supposed to be here, kind of thing.
Maybe.
What do you think the metaphor is? Do you think that they died and that they're all just like replaying what would have happened if they landed, or
I used to watch a bunch of episodes of this show with friends, and I had a theory that every single episode of the show was a metaphor for death.
mm-hmm.
Like every single episode, like at the end of every episode, I would explain how it had to do with death. And we had to get to like season 3 before I started finding some that I was like, okay, I can't equate this with death. They're finally throwing some wrenches in my theory. But yeah, that's pretty much my working theory with this but I mean it doesn't really explain um why everyone forgets about them.
Yeah.
Maybe I think like this is just like a really backwards way that my brain was putting it together. But we hadn't been to space yet. We'd sent stuff up there, but man hadn't been to space yet. So maybe it's like it hypothesize it puts forward that if you go into space, it's like you're crossing between universes, and they went to a universe where the 3 of them and that flight didn't exist,
mm-hmm.
and like maybe the universes are layered upon each other, and like they were in the wrong one briefly or something like that. Or maybe it's just a side effect of space. Like in space, there's a crazy radiation that makes you stop existing. I don't.
Or maybe, did they understand simulations back then, like
I don't know.
computer simulations? Because
I doubt it.
I could see something like where they're doing simulations of how, you know you dealing with them. I don't know how to put that, like dealing with people not knowing who
It's
you
hard
are
to
anymore.
discuss the head of your Twilight zones.
hmm but I agree with the death part, and you could also say that they went up one by one, and somehow like each of them failed in doing their mission in space. And because the end scene I didn't really get, because when Rod Sterling was explaining, his ending epilogue kind of thing, um, another colonel goes into the room and says, "This is where our malaria patients are going to be." and just walks away, and then you see the tarp where the spacecraft was, and it just wasn't there anymore. And I just didn't understand that in a way. It's like when they died, if we're using death as a theme of this episode, is like, were they forgotten? Is that how Rod Sterling is saying, when you die, when you expire, you may be a memory, but to the rest, you just might be a fart in the wind.
I don't know, maybe. I mean, especially in the first season, a lot of them were just like good science fiction stories,
Mm-hmm.
and good science fiction always has like there's a theme or a metaphor or an allegory or something like that. So I want to assume there's one there, but maybe there's not. Maybe it's just an interesting, kind of pseudo spooky story about some guys that disappeared from existence. I mean, I mean, dying is scary. Like, I don't want to die, but if I died, people would remember me. I'd leave something behind, all the junk that I owned and made and
Mm-hmm.
wrote and this podcast and stuff like that. But I mean, if you were erased from forever, like if everyone who ever knew you forgot you and everything you'd ever touched, done, or influenced, stopped being that way, that's kind of scarier in a way.
Mm-hmm. And see, I don't know. Maybe it's just an episode on how people would just disappear. Maybe there is no theme, but Rod Sterling always has a theme, and I wish he was alive to explain why. All we had.
He did explain, I guess, at some point. Serling was doing he was speaking somewhere, and someone asked him about the end of this episode. Why does the last guy disappear so quick? And it's because there wasn't anything left to anchor him to reality. Because
Mm-hmm.
like the first guy, like he kind of doubts it. Maybe I'm going crazy. Maybe something's wrong. This other guy is still here. But then after the guy in the hospital bed sees the major disappear, he realizes, oh my gosh, I'm next. I'm going to disappear. Oh my God. And then that's why he just goes immediately. But I
Mm-hmm.
guess that's all he really clarified. He didn't even write it, I don't think. He did the teleplay of this. He adapted it for the television show, but he didn't write the short story.
That's interesting.
Mm.
I mean, anything else we could talk about this? I mean, got the theme down. We did the synopsis. Um,
What What do you think about this episode? Is it one of your favorites? Is it in the middle? Did you hate it?
it it catches my attention, and when Twilight Zone's episodes catches my attention, and I watch through the whole thing on the edge of my seat, I think it's a good episode, but
Mm.
it's not one of the classics for me. I don't know.
Sure.
The next episode that we're going to be discussing is the classic to me.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. The part I wanted to choose one that like I really liked, but isn't necessarily in the pantheon of greats, and I wanted to choose one that everyone likes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's move on to the mask. So, Andy, what was the mask all about? Because I want
Uh,
to hear your synopsis about it.
it's about a guy who's dying. Oh, there it is again. Telling you, man. They might as well have just called it the Death Show. But anyway, it's
The
about a
Dead
guy who
Zone.
lives in New Orleans and he's rich and he's dying and he's not a bad guy. He seems okay, I guess. Maybe he did some crappy stuff in life. I mean, at the end of the episode, he does some stuff that is crappy, but it's to people who are crappy. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, he lives in New Orleans, and Mardi Gras is going on, which doesn't really affect the. Oh yeah, it does. It's the reason they have to wear masks. So Mardi Gras is going on, and he's on his deathbed. Like he's dying. At the beginning of the episode, he's talking to his doctor. And he's like, "Doctor, just tell me, am I gonna die?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, probably. Like you're probably gonna die in the next 24 hours." And he says, "Okay, well I gotta make it to midnight." The doctor's like, "Okay, whatever, man." He's like, "I'll see you tomorrow." The doctor's like, "Whatever, man." But the doctor's a pretty cool guy, and he's walking out and he runs into the guy's family who are coming to like spend time with him before he dies. That on the face of it, no pun intended. That's what they're there to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's his daughter and the man she married, his son-in-law, and then their two kids. And they come in and they're like, "Oh, father, oh, you're dying. Oh, it sucks," and stuff like that. And he explains that they are going to wear masks until midnight because that's the custom at Mardi Gras. You wear a mask, and at midnight there's an unmasking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they are all. Oh, I meant to look this up. They're all like not necessarily one of the sins, but like the son is wrathful and like he's kind of evil. Like apparently he tortures small animals
Yeah, he's
and
like a serial killer kind
yeah,
of.
that's what I was like. Oh my god, this guy's like a straight up serial killer. Like the father is just greedy. That's fine. Like I
Mm.
like ooh, but the son is apparently like a serial killer in beginning. But the mother, his daughter, is a hypochondriac and a worrier, which I kind of thought was the weakest of the four. It's like okay, she thinks she's sick all the time, but she was also kind of a bitch, so fuck her, I guess.
Yeah.
And her daughter, the old man's granddaughter, is vain, super vain. She's always looking in her mirror and she wants to go out and find a guy. I think it's implied she's a slut too. I don't
Yeah,
know.
because she was like, "It's Mardi Gras, Grandpa. Do you know a young man?" And
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was them implying like, look, if this episode had been made 30 years later, she'd been slutty.
what a whore.
But
Um,
he says we're going to wear masks, and then they wear the masks, and basically they whine about it because the masks are really ugly and uncomfortable. And again, spoilers for the show that came out decades ago. But well, I don't know. You wanna apply the brakes here? Or do you want me to just go ahead and synopsize the whole episode?
well, before you do that, what I found like really, really fucking like irritating to me was when the doctor was talking to them, and the daughter was like, "Oh, my arm is hurting. Can you take a look at it and prescribe something to me?" And he's like, "Your father's dying, motherfucker."
Yeah, I like that. Like I kind of took that to mean at first I was like, is she just trying to get like drugs out of this doctor? So by the way, doc, I'm a little nervous. Could you give me some Valium or something? But no, it's the lead in to she's a hypochondriac and a worrier and stuff like that.
hmm And then the whole where the son-in-law like says, "Oh, you guys go on ahead. I'm gonna go talk to the doctor." And he's like, "So the old boy is not looking good, huh?" And the doctor's like, "The old boy is dying." I say it
No.
again.
Yeah, like the doctor is just straight like no, he's gonna die like soon. Like you need to quit being an asshole, I guess.
it's
But the
like
doctor's a cool character. I like him.
yeah, it's like he knew that these people were here just to take his stuff, and like
Mm-hmm.
he was projecting through the doctor like these characters right here are not good at all. They're all fucking evil people in their own
Yeah,
ways.
the episode is pretty straight up with like, okay, we don't like his family; they suck.
hmm
But I say that, and I've seen the episode before, so you kind of pick up on that. But I was thinking about it this time, and like the mother, his daughter, does the thing. Oh, my arm hurts, blah, blah, blah. And clearly the granddaughter is a little vain because she's like looking in her compact at the beginning.
hmm
But you could, I don't know. It seems like the episode goes against type a little bit because usually old people, like the rich old man who's dying alone on his deathbed, like the archetype would be that he's a bad person, right? Like that's in a bunch of other stories and stuff. That oh, he the only way he got rich is he hates everyone and he's estranged to his family and stuff like that. But that's not what happens. He turns out, as far as we know, to be an all right guy.
Yeah.
Again, maybe he did. Maybe his money was ill-gotten or something like that. Maybe he was a huge prick in life. We don't really find out. That's not important to the story necessarily.
Well, I think what happened was, and it's just speculation because it never shows in this episode, that he may have been like them at one point, and then
Yeah,
he found out that he was dying, and then he started, finding the love and family that he wished he had, but he never did because they're all assholes.
yeah. There is something to be said for. It's not like he finds out he's dying and then like he repents and then he goes to his family and he says, "Oh, you should be better. I'm sorry I wasn't better." Like that doesn't happen. He just does something really, really kind of sinister to them and then dies. Like
hmm
he kind of just plays a joke on it. He just like ruins their lives and then dies. So obviously he's kind of a piece of shit too.
Yeah, he kind of, what do you call it? He roasted them right away. Like right when they come in, he just starts fucking unloading on them.
Yeah, like he when they first come in, he kind of lets them have it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Oh, you're always worrying. Oh, there's Philip, captain of industry, huh? Are you worried about your your stocks?" Or I don't know. He says something to each of them that gives the viewer, the intro to their character. What archetype? Oh, the son is wrath. Oh, the daughter is vanity. Oh, um, the father is greed. The mother is, I don't know, a hypochondriac.
Yeah.
Um, And then when he's selecting the masks, I guess we'll move on. He has a mask for each of them and himself, and he says, "We're going to each wear the thing that we're not." And he's speaking out the side of his mouth here, like this is supposed to be, "Oh, you're not vain at all.
You're
You're
beautiful.
beautiful. Yeah, so you'll wear the ugly mask." And you're super smart. You're not dim-witted and evil at all. So you'll wear the mask that looks like a mongoloid brute or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, "What mask are you gonna wear?" He says, "Oh, I'm gonna wear the mask of death because I'm alive, and that's the opposite of what I am presently." He's like, "Okay, well, fair enough."
It was very
But
touching.
he so they're each wearing a mask that he says, "Oh, it's the opposite of what you are. You're also perfect." But it's clear, no, they're wearing the mask of, like, their sin, their vice, their whatever.
Mm-hmm. So midnight strikes, and before that happens, the daughter's like, I can't take this anymore. I'm so bored. And then they all go like, yeah, this is unbearable. And can we take this off? Can we take this off? And he goes, you guys made it to midnight. Now take my shit. And then he dies.
Yeah, yeah. He lays into him a little bit at first. He's like,
Mm.
"Oh, you're a disappointment. You're all shitty. I hate you."
Mm-hmm.
Because they're whining about their masks. I assume they just gonna sit there almost in semi-silence for a few hours before that scene, which I guess sucks. But they start whining about wearing these goddamn masks for almost no reason. It of course starts with the daughter, who, her looks are everything, and that's really important. She wants this mask off.
Mm-hmm.
But then the others are just like, the mother says she can't breathe. Oh, this is terrible. Which clearly, it's just a mask. It's not stopping her airflow or anything.
I think this was
And
I think this was a test with the family. I think he wanted discussion to be like, let's talk like a family, and he got the opposite, which was pretty much silence and just waiting for him to die. And he knew that was going to happen anyway, but I guess there was a glimmer of hope that he would be able to see what
yeah,
they would
I
feel.
I kept wondering, what if, I think they said it was either 2 or 3 hours till midnight when they first put on the masks. I kept wondering, like, what if they were all sitting there talking and one of them started, like, showing some humanity, or was, like, seemed to be a redeemed person or something like that. Would he have changed his mind or his plan? I wondered. Like, there's no way to know, but it's interesting to think about.
Mm-hmm. And then at the end, doctor takes off the mask, and oh wait, no, when they take off the mask,
You're skipping ahead a little bit. He
yeah,
says, "You're all garbage. I always hated you. Um, you're gonna get what you want because I'm about to die, and you're gonna get all my money and my house and everything." And then he dies, like right as the clock is chiming 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12. Strikes 12, and he dies in the middle of it chiming 12.
yeah.
So they go over to take his pulse. He's like, "Oh, he's dead. He's completely dead." And they're like, "Oh, thank God, stupid old man. Now we get his money. Hooray!" And then they start taking their masks off.
And lo and behold, their faces look like the mask.
The
And
masks are all like hideous and formed. Like the mother's looks like a super worried. "Oh, I'm upset. I'm worried about something." And then like the son's looks like a brute, a mongoloid. And then
mhm,
just the daughter's is super ugly. And it's harder to describe the father's one, but it's also ugly. Like they're all ugly, and when they take the masks off, their faces are deformed to look like the masks.
yeah. um, and then finally, when the doctor takes off the father's mask, nothing changed. He's like, this is
Yeah,
what.
but It did though. I liked this about it, and I didn't really pick up on this the first time I watched this episode. But I mean, the mask still. It made me wonder. He was already dying, but
Hmm.
what if he hadn't been? Would he have died at midnight? Because he was wearing the mask of death.
Yeah, and
Like
and he was still
like
alive.
they became what the mask was. He became what his mask was. He became dead.
Yeah,
He
so
became
he didn't change facially, I guess.
Yeah, his face didn't change, but he does still become what his mask is.
Hmm. I mean, that's pretty much how it ends. Is that they're all standing in the house looking like ugly people, which they are, but rich ugly people.
Yeah.
Which
I really like excuse me. One of my favorite parts is there isn't a scene at the end where they're talking about, I guess we should be better people. Well, I guess we should do this. That doesn't happen. They just they it reveals it, and then the doctor is there talking to the butler about, oh, I called you as soon as I found out he's dead. That's a shame. And then you see the family again, and yeah, their faces are still messed up. That's it. Credits, man.
Yep.
We don't know if they learned the lesson necessarily. It's just the old man got what he wanted. He afflicted them with this hideousness.
Hmm. And I wonder, like, because there was a thing that he says is like, you have to do the mask thing, or sorry, I'm coughing a lot. You have to do the mask thing, or you will not get all my stuff. Like that's in the will.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm
If
like,
they took the mask off before midnight, then they got nothing.
but I'm
Oh no,
like,
they got train fare back to Boston. That's all.
yeah, but I'm like, how would they know? I mean, I guess because he wore the mask, he ended up dying. But I guess if he didn't wear the mask, I guess he would still live in a way.
I guess they didn't know for sure if he would be dead. Like maybe he would see them take the mask off, and then the next morning he'd be like, no, they get nothing. They didn't know he was going to die at midnight.
Hmm. Yeah. So, anything else you want to talk about this?
This episode's great, and I love it.
Yeah. So I definitely recommend. I recommend every fucking episode of Twilight Zone.
Right?
Yeah. So I mean, next week we're gonna have two new episodes. Not two new, but two of my episodes, and it's gonna be season 2, episode 7, Nick of Time. And then season 2, episode 29, The Obsolete Man, which is my favorite
That's one of my
episode.
favorites.
Yep. Yep. So before we go, I want to talk about a news story, and it's Nintendo Labo. We had a surprise direct, a small one, a 2-minute one.
Yeah, like they announced that morning, like on Facebook and Twitter, we're going to announce something later today. And everyone was like, you are? You didn't say you were going to announce anything. They're like, yeah, well, we're saying it now. Whatever. And I remember the announcement I saw before I went to work. It said they were going to announce something for children or people who are children at heart. And I remember thinking, oh, look at that be? I don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone saw this coming. This is so interesting and creative. It's not necessarily like something I want to buy, but I'm delighted it exists, if that makes any sense.
It's interesting and weird. I will say that. I mean, I guess not weird to Japanese people since they're used to it all the time, getting these like weird products and stuff, and generic, all that stuff. But I like the idea of building stuff. So, like,
definitely. I mean, like I said, I've been working on this Gundam model for the last month.
Mm-hmm. And I thought this is gonna be interesting. I mean, there was like a camera, there was a fishing pole, there was a robot with like strings and shit.
The piano was the most interesting part to me.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that each of the little cardboard keys actually plays. We haven't really described what it is. Like, it's going to be hard to do with just words. The best thing to do if you're listening to us and you don't know what Nintendo Labo is, just Google it. There's a 2-minute video. It's probably shorter than that. But basically, it's going to be a game, like an actual Switch game, and then a bunch of cardboard sheets that you punch stuff out of, and then a symbol. There's like a motorbike. God damn it! What's the handlebars for like a racing game, and like there's a miscellaneous set, and then there's another set that's just the robot, and you wear like a huge box on your back, and then the strings attach to your gloves and your feet, and then there's something on your head, and you control the robot by like moving your actual body. So it's cool because it's kind of like a VR thing, but it doesn't cost $500 goddamn dollars.
Yeah. And what I
It
found,
costs $80, in fact.
yeah, what I found interesting is like the RC cars and everything that was moving. I
Mhm.
feel like that's coming from the Joy-Cons HD Rumble.
It is, yeah. They there's like mini games and stuff that use the HD Rumble, like that little guy that stands up on the two legs. That's a game based on HD Rumble and a couple other things too. Like I was looking into it and they haven't announced everything 100%, but you can some of it's implied from watching that cute little video.
Mm-hmm. And I recommend you guys watching it because it's like it was out of left field.
Yeah,
I thought it was gonna be like, oh, here's Scribble Nuts and all that stuff, and like,
right. And I thought it would be a game announcement. I thought they were gonna be like, here's our first trailer for the new Yoshi game for the Switch. That was my first guess, and something like that. Like I thought they were going to announce a game directed at kids, but I mean, and it is.
yeah,
At first, I was like, "Oh, that looks cool. I wouldn't mind. I like building stuff." But the more I thought about it, the more I thought, "Oh, this isn't targeted toward me. I probably won't buy it." But like I said, I'm. It's so interesting that Nintendo is making this.
I'm probably gonna get it in the future, probably when it's on sale,
Yeah, I can see that.
or probably
The variety pack is $70, which is kind of expensive, but it does come with a full game. So I'm kind of I'm torn. I want to be like that's a lot of money, but I also want to be like, well, it's a game and then a bunch of extra shit. I'm afraid I bought 1-2 Switch. I'm afraid it's going to be that again because I regret buying that game.
yeah. Well, what's great about it is you could customize it. You can put stickers and you could color it in. But
Yeah,
like
you can color it in. That kind of thing's fun. I like that.
again, this is for kids. This is not for adults. But it also said kid at heart, so
Yeah,
that's another
yeah. I
thing.
mean, I play kids stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the only thing I could say negative about is like you don't really see the software that much. You get like glimpses of it,
Yeah.
and I don't want to buy the $70 thing just to have like mini games. I want something, even
That's
though,
what it seems like it's going to be.
yeah,
I suspect if it's successful, we're going to see more in this vein. We might see something more serious.
mm-hmm.
Like that's what's there's going to be a mini game bundle, and then there's going to be the robot one where you're controlling the robot and you're like destroying the city and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I could see a Transformers game, which they show that you transform from the
Oh
robot.
yeah, that's right. He like squats down and the robot turns into a truck or something.
I could see this being successful in like, sorry for burping, Star Wars and Marvel taking over this, or even Disney, where they have their own games and stuff and these cardboard stuff to do, like a Thor hammer or Batwing and stuff and all that crap.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting. So I don't want to dive into deep into this because I mean we only get a glimpse of it. You get cardboard, you pop it out, you fold it, you build it, and it looks cool. And the only thing I worry about is this cardboard durable for kids? Because if it's not, then the parents are gonna have to keep on buying more cardboard.
I wondered that too. Like I've tried to assemble stuff like this, like when I was in school and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes if you get the fold wrong, it's never quite right.
Yeah, so hopefully they give you like for each set, like maybe 3 or 4 in a pack.
This is the kind of thing that it's going to be really hard to understand what it is until you get your hands on it. I think this is like when they announced HD Rumble, everyone was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I don't know. Ice cubes, all right, whatever, man. Like I think it's the kind of thing that we're gonna have to see it in action or play it ourselves.
Yeah, and it's coming out 420.
Ha! Is
Blaze
it?
it.
That's funny.
Yep. And February 22nd, they're going to be having hands-on stuff. So
Hmm.
I guess I guess we'll see when that comes out. Other than that, anything else you want to talk about, Andy? Because there was nothing else in the news like usual.
Yeah, nothing jumped out. We resolved we're not going to force ourselves to talk about stuff we don't care about anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And we both saw Nintendo Labo, and we were like, oh, really interesting. We should talk about this on the show.
Mm-hmm. Like I
But
said,
so that's not to say other things didn't happen this week. It's just we didn't give a fuck.
yep. Because this is the Joe Dubs and Andy show. Not
Yep.
We're not a news station. We're not gonna tell you the news unless it involves us in some way.
Yeah.
Which is kind of selfish to say, but you know what? It's only interesting when we have passion about it.
Yeah. I mean, we're not gonna force it anymore.
So on that note, this is episode 24 of Twilight Zone Part 1. Since there is going to be a Part 2, of my episodes. We will see
Remember,
you.
season 2, episode 7, season 2, episode 29.
Yep.
Nick of Time, The Obsolete Man. If you're listening to this and you've never seen them, watch them. These are great episodes. It's a great show. I know it's black and white, but don't worry, you'll get over it. Great show.
And as usual, please to remember to like and subscribe to us on YouTube. And yeah, y'all have a good weekend. And remember, football Sunday is gonna be Patriots versus Jacksonville, and then you're gonna have Vikings versus the Eagles. So
snore.
Go Jacksonville. Good night, everybody.
Night. Thanks for listening.